This is Lightning Power Lunch, presented by Reef Rum on the Lightning Audio Network with Dave Mishkin and Greg Linnelli.
Pucks are going in. I mean, eventually they're going to go in. I think, you look at those games, we ran into some pretty good goaltending, and the power plays, chipping in now, and so it's funny, man. When you play 82 games, they're not going in every single night, and I'm just happy that we were able to stop that skid, because it's tough. You lose 4 in a row, and whatever small little lead you had is gone, and so to jump on the road here and pick a couple ups, it's good.
Offensive explosion last night. Man, wasn't a great defensive performance. You're going to have that from time to time. I'm going to talk about it with my partner who called the game last night, Dave Mishkin. He's not outdoors.
No.
It does look like it, partner, that you are
yes. Well,
ready for Christmas.
The Lightning did put up a snowman last night, so
that's a good point.
Yeah, you want the backstory on this?
Yeah, please. Where are you?
Those of us who are watching the video feed, and I'm watching you in the video feed. So the Islanders have a practice rink. It is very close to their old building, the Nassau Coliseum. This is a beautiful facility, by the way. Long Island University plays here, men's hockey and women's hockey. There are 2 sheets. This is where the Islanders practice. So like a lot of practice rinks, what we call practice rinks, but they're just rinks for most other people where, they go to play, there is kind of a lobby area.
Yeah.
Usually like here, for example, there's a fairly extensive Islanders pro shop where you can get Islanders gear. Often there is like a concession stand. I didn't see one here. They had vending machines and a very nice view of the outside. All of that is temperature controlled. When you get to the actual spot where the rinks are, though, it is cold with a capital C. That is pretty much across the board in any of these rinks that you would go to, more so than the NHL arena. So I kind of scouted out this area, and I'm like, I can't really do the show in a warm area. I'm going to be like, who is this guy talking? Like there's, people walking around. And there really wasn't a place to set up. So I'm like, well, this is where the Lightning are practicing at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So they'll be coming out as we're wrapping up. But this is actually from a convenient standpoint with like the setup and the table and the view. Steve's great view. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I'm going for picturesque. I'm not going for comfort. So I am dressed.
Are you standing?
No, I'm
sitting?
seated.
Okay,
yeah, I'm
seated.
seated.
I couldn't tell.
So the rink behind me, this is the LIU rink. The Islanders actually practiced at the other rink that didn't have as many stands. This has a fair number of seats in it, though, this rink. So anyway,
looks nice.
It'll be just me until probably about 12:45, and then the players will start streaming out. But had I faced the rink, you would have seen just a concrete wall behind me. So look, I'm learning, right? I'm a radio guy. I'm not really thinking about cameras, but
no, it's a good thing you brought your hat too.
Yes, well,
right?
Outside is cold, so I was bringing this anyway. But I'm like, I was not thinking that I was going to be wearing it on the air, but here we are. For those who are going to the outdoor game on February 1st, Stadium Series, I think we all hope that you be dressed like me, because that means that the weather will be nice and chilly and the ice conditions will be fantastic. We'll see. Obviously, the big news yesterday with the jersey reveals. And
yeah, we talked about that a little bit during the first intermission when it came out.
Yeah.
And
look at Steve right on it.
I know. So,
Victor Hedman. So for those audio listeners, Victor Hedman, he has a hat, he has the jersey, and a scarf.
Now, how many people do you think will get all 3 of those things right there? Jersey, hat, and scarf, just to pull it off. I think most people will. I think they look pretty sharp. I actually kind of like the color. I think you and I were talking about this beforehand. I'm not a huge jersey person. I don't wear jerseys.
Yeah.
You
were in the minority among
for sure.
sports
I'm definitely
fans.
in the minority. Yeah, for sure. And I'm more simple. I like just a couple of colors. I don't like things that are too poppy, and maybe that's why I think some of the newer jerseys that are a little more flamboyant, I'm not as excited about. I actually really like the Lightning jerseys. I think that blue-white is just a really good look. To a degree, this has it a bit. And as we're kind of showing these to the audience who are checking it out live here. I'm okay with it. I think it will be interesting. For the announcers, it's going to be more about the numbers and what does that look like, and
the fans in the
true.
The stadium too.
So how does that look, particularly from maybe where you're going to be calling the game? I think obviously as the announcer, you're going to want to check that out for sure. But my initial response is I like anything with blue in it, and I think this has a couple of different shades of blue, and I like it. I think they're sharp.
Yeah, and we can get feedback from the fans. I mean, look, it's like anything else. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to be fine with it, and some people are going to say, I wish they did something else. But Light very happy with it. I'm sure that the fans are going to be very excited to get the jersey and the accessory gear on top of that. And we look forward to the game on February 1st.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be about 6 weeks in advance, and it was, right?
Yeah.
A little more than 6 weeks.
These jerseys, you want
that they would
good,
reveal the jerseys,
right.
I mean. Yeah.
It's more about remembering the event and, taking, it's not going to be a souvenir, but you understand where I'm going with it. Eventually, this will be something that you can look back on and say, hey, remember that outdoor game? This was the jersey. And it's pretty cool that it was shown yesterday. But I know Steve is texting us about where people
you can order them now.
TampaBaySports.com. Mm-hmm. And they're on sale at Benchmark International Arena starting Monday at noon. So make sure that you do that. All right, so let's get to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, New Jersey, we had talked about, had a couple of big guns out offensively, but that didn't stop them from generating some offense last night. But the Lightning, we kind of talked about this, hinted at it, with the floodgates open for a couple of players who had been struggling. I didn't realize the floodgates would open collectively as the team, scoring 8 goals in a game. And while the Lightning at one point had 4, I think we were saying, look, you don't need to chase 5. Just prevent the other team from getting, to 4 themselves. It didn't really happen that way, but look, sometimes games in an 82-game season go like that. I'm going to take from this game, partner, 8 is a nice number. That's great. You get 2 points. So, again, you're building a little momentum from that perspective. You had a lot of people contribute, which is always great offensively. But is this the game we're going to look back on? And there's no answer to this. We're just speculating that, Oliver Bjorkstrand found some mojo, found whatever he was missing, and that maybe it wasn't this game because, maybe the previous couple, he was starting to get an assist here and there. But did you feel like maybe this could be the game when we look at his production that we said, okay, he's going to take off a bit and to a lesser extent, maybe even on the same level, that Braden Point is starting to find a little bit of rhythm as well. 2 big components of what the Lightning want to do offensively.
And 2 big components on that first power play unit.
Yes.
And the Lightning scored 2 power play goals.
Correct.
Last night, Bjorkstrand was involved in both of them. On the Gensel power play goal, it was his shot that led to the open net rebound, and then he scored the other one. So we are going to see if what I proposed, and I think you agreed with me when I said it, I'm certain I said it yesterday, and I think I've repeated myself. So yesterday wasn't the first time I said it, but it was in response. You know what? A fan asked, should they sit Bjorkstrand? And what I said was, I believe that for him, he needs to have something good happen, and then let's see if he takes off. So something good happened last night. He scored 2 goals. He had an assist. Goals that he scored, almost just as significant that the goals that he scored came in the order that they came in. So one was a slam dunker at the back post. That was the second one. The first one, both plays started with Gensel passing him the puck.
Yeah.
It was his first goal, though, where he got open. I mean, he was close to the net, but he was on the other side of the ice. Like he's a righty. He was on the left side of the ice. Bottom of the circle. Gensel gets him the puck. And like the goalie is close to him. He snaps it. He snapped it in. He shot it in. It wasn't a redirection. It wasn't a tip. It wasn't like the second goal. I wonder, and we'll never know the answer to this, if he doesn't score that first goal, which I think is a confidence-building sort of goal. That's a Bjorkstrand type of goal. Closer maybe than some of the others that he has scored, but he used a shot. He put it up. He finished. it was a very nice finish. If he doesn't score that goal, does that second goal happen? Does Gensel's pass to him at the back post like explode off his stick, right? So when we talk about confidence, maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe, that was such a great play that Bjorkstrand would have finished no matter what. But I think his confidence was helped last night. I could see him handling the puck more confidently, honestly, even after the first point that he had, which was a really nice shot in the middle of the ice, on net, hard. That was Jake Allen, who was in net at that point. Had it hit him, but it was such a hard shot, he couldn't control the rebound. He was out of position. Gensel had an open net. I think that really got Bjorkstrand going. Then he scores the goal that, he has to make a play and shoot it in. I think it helped him. So let's see if he builds on this. That's what we don't know. So is he going to build on this? Like, he had a pretty good game in the at Vegas game that the Lightning won with James and Gonçalves. That line was probably their best line. He wasn't really able to build on it. I mean, the Lightning had injuries. James got hurt in the very next game, the one where the puck hit him in the face. And, Bjorkstrand wasn't really able to build on that, and he didn't even score in that Vegas game. Let's see if he can build on this. As the game itself, this was not to the standard the Lightning want or frankly need most nights defensively. It wasn't. But as much as they struggled defensively, the Devils struggled more. Some of that is the Lightning were able to finish on more of their chances. But I think also the Devils were worse defensively than the Lightning. So neither team really did well defensively. And in particular, the area where both teams struggled, and I'm saying this understanding the Lightning gave up 2 breakaway goals. The area where both teams struggled was trying to come out of their own end. Either the other team had it and they couldn't get it away, or they had it, the defensive zone team had it, and they had a turnover, and the puck stayed in. And that was really true in the first period for both teams, where it was almost like wherever the puck was, like that defensive zone team had some anxious moments. And people are like, well, what are you talking about? The Lightning outscored them 4-1, So this is what I'm talking about. Yes, the Lightning got 2 quick goals on Markstrom. And the first one started because Sabrin intercepted. I mean, it wasn't a hard, clear attempt. Like force of puck was not hard. I mean, it may have been difficult. But Sabrin blocked it, fed Paul. Paul snaps it in. Hit the inner bar. 100th career goal for Nick Paul. Another early goal for the Lightning. It came less than 3 minutes into the game. A Radish bomb makes it 2-0 less than a minute later. From that point, the Devils put on relentless pressure. And so the Radish goal came at 3:48. Luke Hughes scores at 7 minutes. So 3 minutes and 12 seconds after Radish scores, Hughes gets the Devils on the board. That was the 11th shot on net the Devils had in that game. They finished with 15 first-period shots.
Yeah. But
But 11 of those came in the first 7 minutes. And you can look at the chances that they generated. Like, there were some really tough saves for Johansson. I remember Bratt walked out of the corner, had 2 jam-in attempts. There were point blanks from other areas. Hughes makes a really nice spin move on Sabrin. Made a spin move, got to the circle, roofed it. At one point, was it Cotter? Cotter hit the crossbar.
yeah.
That was not even a shot on net. That hit the crossbar and went out of play. The Devils were extremely dangerous in the first period, and a lot of it came off of miscues the Lightning had in their own zone. But they also did that to the Devils, and the Devils did it to themselves, where the puck was in the New Jersey end, and the Devils couldn't execute out of trouble, and the Lightning were able to make a play. Now, what happened for the rest of the first period was kind of what we saw at points in the game, in that when the Devils scored, the Lightning had an answer. And their third goal was not off the forecheck, it was off the rush. And Holmberg scores on a backhand. He now has goals in 2 straight games after he had only 1 goal in the first, 29. He missed 7. But for him, he scored early, didn't have another goal until the game in Montreal. Now he has goals in back-to-back games. That goal ended the night for Markstrom. I don't think Sheldon Keefe was happy with that goal. It was a backhander that kind of went from the side. And it kind of settled things down for the Lightning. I mentioned, the Devils had 15 first-period shots. 11 came in the first 7 minutes. They had a 12th, I think, at the 10-minute mark which was after the Holmberg goal. But in the final 10 minutes of the first period, the Devils only had 3 shots. So the Lightning got some juice from that Holmberg goal, and it kind of squelched the Devils a bit. And then the Lightning got back-to-back power plays, which helped too. So they had a full 2-minute power play in which they looked okay. I mean, they didn't score on it, but they had the puck, and the Devils didn't, right? And then they get another power play right after, and that's the Gensel goal. So on that particular play, the Lightning had a very, very good first period, in particular in the face-off circle, and they won a face-off. Point won it, but he didn't win it so cleanly that it came right back to the point where Radish was waiting for it. So Radish had to kind of step up to get it, and the Devils were thinking they could get it. So they made a calculated risk there to try and like almost bull rush the puck, and they got a little bit out of position. And what happened was Radish fed it to the corner to Gensel because the Devils had kind of flooded that side of the ice. That opened up the middle for Bjorkstrand. Gensel's such a good passer. I mean, he scores the goal play, but you think about the 3 passes he made to Bjorkstrand that all led to goals. He puts it right on Bjorkstrand's stick. Bjorkstrand's in the middle of the ice, has a chance to shoot. Allen comes out to challenge. Hard shot. Bjorkstrand shot. That's a Bjorkstrand shot. On net. Didn't go in, but goalie is not able to control it. Bounces down. Gensel, after he makes the pass, goes to the front of the net. Devils are still kind of out of position. Stuffs it in. It's 4-1. So the Lightning were in control into the second period, and I thought they had this was their best defensive period. The Devils had very little activity until the latter part of the second period, and along the way, we see the Bjorkstrand goal. So what happened on this particular goal? This is, again, off an entry. So Point gets it across the blue line. He's on the left side of the ice, along the boards. He stops, pulls up. Devils players kind of converge to him. He goes cross ice to Gensel. And I watched the replay. I'm like, how is Bjorkstrand so wide open? So a couple things happened that really helped the Lightning. One they had to do with, one they didn't have anything to do with. The first thing that happened was 2 Devils players collide. So Point makes the cross ice pass, and there are 3 Devils around him, and one is coming back to try and get in the play who is tracking Bjorkstrand. That Devils player collided with another Devil.
Right.
2 of them fall down. So that opens up the path for Bjorkstrand to go to the net, but there's still another Devils defender there. So the second thing that happened, Lilleberg goes to the net. So that Devils defender goes to Lilleberg, which opens up Bjorkstrand. Gensel gets on the puck. He gets a grade A. He finishes. It's 5-1. The Lightning could have made it 6, 7, 8-1. Like, they were all over the Devils. Allen was making, on a night where he gave up 5 in a relief role, he had to make some tough saves. The Devils, really, their first ozone shift yields a power play. Like, they finally got it into the offensive zone. They finally had a little activity. They get a power play, and Bratt scores on a line change. Like, they cleared the zone, the Lightning did. They were going for a change, and the Devils reversed it quickly. Bratt is a terrific player. He got loose. We've seen him finish 4 against the Lightning, including earlier this year. On a shorthanded goal, he scores. So now it is 5-2, and the Devils, all right, we got a little something going. What happens? The Lightning tack on another goal. That was the Hagel goal. That was a very impressive goal because the Lightning had drawn a penalty. So Johansson went to the bench for 6-on-5. They had it in the offensive zone for probably a good 30 seconds. They had 2 shots, including one from Kucherov that, like, Allen made a miraculous save on. But the Lightning kept with it. Kucherov goes cross ice to Hagel, and from a very rough angle, he scores. So the Lightning get their 4-goal lead back at 6-2 going into the third. We wanted just a cruise control third period, kind of like what happened in Montreal. Did not happen. Lightning had all kinds of problems clearing puck. They were giving up chances. They gave up 16 shots. They gave up a whole boatload of scoring chances. Twice the Devils chipped away. They scored a 6th attacker goal and a delayed penalty to make it 6-3. Late in the game, Cotter on a 4-on-4 scores on a breakaway as the Lightning had a breakdown. That at the time made it 7-4, but each time the Devils scored again, the Lightning had an answer. So they responded to the Angus Crookshank goal with Point forward, where Devils had a breakdown. Kucherov makes a great pass to him, and then the Lightning had a power play pending. after Cotter scored in the 4-on-4. So they got the 8th goal. At that point, it was pretty much lights out. There was only a few minutes left. So look, the Lightning did enough offensively to ensure that they were going to win the game. But what do we hear a lot from the players afterward? And I probably have sound to this effect. They were really saying we need to be better defensively. And you want to hear that. Like, they weren't saying, well, we got goals from 4 different lines, and, well, the power play went 2 for 3, and, well, our scoring slump's over, and, well, our top guys made plays, and, Bjorkstrand hopefully gets going. All of it seemed to be, not all of it, but a lot of it focused on, we don't want to really be giving up 4 goals. Our D zone wasn't so great. That's what you want. They didn't play to their defensive standard, and, maybe it's easier to do when you win the game, Greg, but I was glad to hear that because they didn't just brush over it and say, like, yeah, that was a great win, because there were some warts to it, but they scored enough. They won the game with their offense. They just don't want to make a habit of doing that.
I think that's right, and I think we talked about some of the players that got going in that game, and I want to get to a couple of sound bites because I think it's important to reiterate who those players are, and then we can get to some questions at Bolts Radio. But here's Oliver Bjorkstrand on getting comfortable with this Lightning team and kind of his game the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think getting here to trade at the line last year, obviously it's always a learning curve, but definitely helped me prepare for this season. And as far as system-wise, I think I haven't had any doubts on where to be or anything like that. It's just sometimes you just have some things you got to figure out for yourself. So I like to keep building on that and try to find my stride.
I like it. Pretty matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm in the system. I get it. Now I just have to find my comfort level.
It's execution for him.
I think so.
He knows where he needs to be. It was just having that swagger, right? Hopefully he now has a little bit more swagger.
And that's what you want.
People were like, how did Bjorkstrand score all these goals? In a fairly limited time at the Lightning score 5 goals.
Mm-hmm.
I forget how many games he played in the regular season before he had his injury, but it wasn't a lot. I mean,
was it 19 maybe?
15 and 20, yeah.
Jared,
Look,
can you go find it?
5 goals in 19 games is not bad, right? That is his pace. He's a 20-goal guy, right?
Did I get it right? Hold on. 18. 5 goals in 18 games.
So there you go.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you're right.
You prorate that out to a full season, multiply it by 4 bouts. You're at 20 goals.
And that's
this year has been the aberration, but he has time now to hopefully get rolling. Let's see if he can go on, as they say, a heater. Even if he doesn't go on a heater, just playing the way that he normally plays, I think would be a relief for him and really help the Lightning.
Here's Braden Point over the last 2 games.
Tough stretch there for sure for us. But I've liked the way we played last couple games. I think there's still some things to clean up defensively. I thought Joe played a great game tonight against a really skilled team. But for the most part, I like where our game's going.
Looks like Braden Point also got a new hairdo.
Yeah.
You notice that a little bit. You have freshen up,
Well, you
change
missed
the hair.
game, so you had time to go for a
That's what I'm
haircut,
saying.
I guess.
I hear you. I want to hear Coop on Bjorkstrand, and then we can get some comments. Also, probably should get into Victor Hedman a little bit too.
Yes.
And where he is. But here's Coop.
What was great for him tonight, he's had his chances and, again, haven't gone in for him. And that's, he's getting rewarded now for he's had last couple of games. He's played pretty well with us. But instinctive shooter, that thing gets on his net or on his stick, he can put it in the net. And I think he was probably gripping it a little bit, maybe missing the net at times, trying to place pucks in the net. And it's just like, just shoot it. That's what you've been doing your whole career, and I think it's paying off for him.
I would agree. That was on Bjorkstrand. And
Yeah.
he does have a quick release. And it's just a matter of finding the net a little bit more, and we'll kind of see what happens. The Victor Hedman situation, partner, I don't know what to make of it other than whatever it is, just take as much time as you can to figure it out.
Well, I think
heal.
they've done that, Greg.
Yeah, heal, and let's come back whenever you're ready.
We'll get some clarity, I think, in the next couple of days, because it sounded like they are going to get clarity in the next couple of days. And look, the Lightning aren't always, in fact, they're usually not forthcoming about specific injuries unless it is long-term. And they may not say what the injury is, but they'll give a timeline, right? And I mentioned this on the air. Look, I don't have any inside information. I know that I represent the team. We're on the show 5 days a week. We get questions from fans often about, like, what's happening with this injured. I have no inside information. I know what everyone else knows if they listen to what is spoken to the media, okay? But if we read kind of the tea leaves about, like, how this has unfolded. Victor Hedman played in a game, a home game against Washington. He finished that game. He was out on the ice near the end of the game. That was his last game. Like, the next game he was out. So he missed 12 games. It wasn't like a McDonough situation where he blocked a shot. It wasn't like a Crozier situation in Washington where you could see, like, he hit a rut, his ankle, twisted. It wasn't a Dominic James situation where he gets hit in the face with a puck. There was nothing obvious that happened. So the fact that he missed 12 games leads me to believe that he either tweaked something that wasn't obvious or he was dealing with something. One or the other. And like what you said is take as much time as you need.
Right.
How much time do you need? Like, part of it is, what is the protocol? Like, what is the best way to heal, right? And usually, and I think this does make sense, you try, let's just call it, less aggressive treatments first. And you see if that helps.
Yeah.
And, the fact that he missed a month meant that they gave it time. I'm sure he was doing rehab, getting treatment, was feeling better, got back on the ice, played 2 games, and then 1 period. And what Coop said is, it's the same injury. So whatever it is, it didn't get solved by missing 12 games. So they're like, okay, what's the next step? So I agree with you. Like, you want to take as much time as you need, but how much time do you need? Like, it is based on, like, what is it going to take to fix this? And I think that's what the second opinion is about. Does this mean, like, they try rehab, now they have to go to surgery, which is kind of what happened with Nick Paul, right? Like, Nick Paul, why did Nick Paul miss the beginning of the season? He had this injury. Yeah. They tried to rehab it because you prefer not to go to surgery first, right? You prefer to, like, find other ways to heal an injury, and you try that, and sometimes it just doesn't work, and you have to get the surgery. That's what happened to Nick Paul. I don't know if that's Hedman's situation. We'll get clarity on it. But that's kind of the vibe here. And it may not be surgery. Maybe there's something else that they do. But clearly whatever they tried over that month did not solve the problem, because we heard from Coop that it was the same injury. So that's why they're getting consultations and trying to figure out what to do. And we're going to wait and see.
Hungry for Power Lunch says, great call last night, Mish. Always appreciate your energy and your descriptive detail for us radio listeners. Really enjoyed listening to the last call too, Greg. Well, we appreciate you.
I love that handle, Hungry for Power Lunch.
Let's get that going more.
Yes. We need more people with Hungry for Power Lunch, and like they can designate themselves by a number. Hungry for Power Lunch 1, Hungry for Power Lunch 2. Everybody needs to be hungry for Power Lunch. Thank you for the comments, though.
E4 says, at least the Bolts got the win last night. Can't say the same for the Bucks. See you boys at UBS tomorrow.
Yes, I was not even aware that the Bucks had lost until this morning. That was because I saw they were up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. That happens.
Well, as they say, like, as long as there's time on the clock or innings remaining in baseball, Yogi Berra famously said, right, it ain't over till it's over. So they clearly
it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and I didn't see any fat ladies singing.
That was
a
very tough loss for the Bucks. Yeah. Hopefully they can bounce back next week.
Alan says, the Bolts are rolling along. I love how this team, when they made a mistake, got past it by working hard every minute. And to paraphrase Greg, Kucherov rolled out of bed and got 4 points.
So I will disagree with you there, Alan. That was not a roll out of bed game for Kucherov. But when you say that, you're kind of like, he wasn't as noticeable, but he still finished the night with 2 points. He was very noticeable last night. I mean, yeah, okay, the pass to Radish, he gave it to Radish, Radish shot it in.
I'm
that
flattered
pass
that somebody
to Hagel.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
yes.
flattered that he's paraphrasing them, but, I should make a shirt out of that. Let's go.
How about the pass to Hagel? I mean, how far did that puck go?
Yeah.
Like what is
I agree.
the width of the rink? 75 feet, 200 by 75? I mean, that thing really traveled 65 feet, maybe?
Right on the tape, too.
Right on the tape, yeah. And quickly enough so that Allen couldn't get over. How about the pass to Point on Point's goal?
Yeah.
Fantastic night for Kucherov.
He is, you run out of adjectives to describe him. So it doesn't do justice when you say, boy, he's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously one of the best offensive minds, offensive players of this generation. And the creativity, I think. He reminds me, and I'm going to give you a basketball analogy. A favorite of mine, I'm going to say growing up, because in my 20s, I think, is when he started to get into the NBA and do his thing, was Steve Nash.
Mm-hmm.
And very creative with how he would generate offense. Could use his right, could use his left. But like the stopping and the starting, the bounce passes. I mean, it was just go back and highlight on YouTube Steve Nash and just kind of watch how he conducts himself on the court. I feel like Kucherov's similar in that he's just, there's nobody really like him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the beauty of his game.
In today's game, there's nobody like Kucherov. I mean,
No.
we made the Gretzky comparisons, and they're not identical, clearly. And
Right.
Kuch is not going to reach the heights that Gretzky reached point-wise. He's just not, because Gretzky was Gretzky. But the hockey IQ, the ability to, like, see a play before anybody else can see it and know where the puck is going before it gets there, they both have that.
Mm-hmm.
Very few players have that to the level that Kucherov has it.
FK322, what do you credit for this explosion in offense over the past 2 games?
Well, it's not like they weren't getting chances in the games where they were struggling to score. They are now converting on those chances, and once you start converting, I think your confidence starts growing. And look, how many shots did Darren Radish take from the point that did not go in over the course of the 4 games, including one off the post against Toronto in the 6-on-5? Last night, it went in. Nick Paul's goal, like off the inner bar and out.
Yeah.
Maybe during the losing streak, that puck goes over the net. I mean, there's not much of a difference between going into the top of the net, hitting the inner bar, and just missing the net completely. So, I mean, there's just a little bit more finish.
And I think, too,
to their chances.
It's the ebbs and flows of offense.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think offense is more inconsistent than defense. Defense, it's typically about positioning and effort. And if you're in the right position, if you're giving the right effort, that typically doesn't go into a slump every game. Offense, look, a lot of things aren't in your control. It could be maybe there's a lot of penalties in the game, and maybe your best offensive players are sitting. Maybe you're just not getting the puck. Maybe the feel of the puck just isn't there. Maybe you're playing a little injured. You're a little nicked up, and it's just not working. And so those things, plus it's just the human nature. You're just not going to be, for the most part, as a team collectively, scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, or even generating as much as you feel. So I think there's a little bit of that too, and maybe a lot of it. Jason says, agree with Bjorkstrand needing that spark and hoping he takes off. I hope they keep him on a line with Gensel and Point and keep him there consistently. Having those guys set him up will be helpful.
You guys were sharing the story that the Chief really liked the Bjorkstrand onto the Point Gensel line, even before, the last couple of games. I hadn't heard him say that. But he felt... So, look, Bjorkstrand can play in the top 6. Some of this is that, remember, at the start of the year, the idea was that Point and Kucherov would be together. So that wasn't really helping the Lightning do what they wanted to do. So Kucherov got moved onto the line with Hagel and Cirelli, and that has been a great line. So you're not going to touch that line. That opens up a spot at right wing on the point line. So from that standpoint, it makes sense. And if he's going to continue to produce, I know it's only been a couple of games, but he's got 4 points in the last 2, Bjorkstrand I'm talking about. There's no reason to believe that they wouldn't keep him on that line. And also it builds chemistry for the power play too, because those 3 guys are on the power play with Kucherov and Radish.
Chris says, great team win by the Bolts with everyone getting involved in the scoring. Happy for Bjorkstrand, but a bit sad for JoJo, who I thought played
better, maybe.
It played better than the score sheet shows. Hopefully we can keep it up on the island tomorrow. Also, you probably shouldn't fight Sabrin if you value your health. That might be a little bit of a we have to dedicate maybe a couple of minutes to. I mean, look, we spoke his praises the last couple of games. You came out and basically said, look, I like the guy. I think he can play. And I think you're right. And I went a step further and I said, I think he does what Douglas does, but better at this point in his career. If you watch the replay last night, he goes in and he hits the guy from behind.
Luke Hughes, yeah.
Luke Hughes. Dylan, you can see, starts coming at Sabrin. But Sabrin's got his back turned. But Sabrin immediately knew he needed to have his head on a swivel because he probably thought somebody was coming after him. This is part of that 13-year pro deal.
Yeah.
I've been around long enough. All right, I hit a guy from behind. Somebody in today's game is going to come after me. He turns. And I don't know if Dylan's a fighter or not.
Yeah.
I don't know what his track record is.
I mean he's tough.
Maybe.
He does
Tough.
fight. Yeah.
What was key to all of that? Not only was Sabrin left-handed, Dylan wasn't expecting him to just start wailing on him. I mean, as soon as he was still skating, Sabrin's coming with the fist, and it stunned him. He never recovered and adjusted to the fact that Sabrin was left-handed in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Never. You could kind of tell. Like, he was holding on. I mean, Sabrin was just wailing on him. I mean, he got in at least 5 or 6 hits before.
Yeah.
Dylan was able to kind of grab him. But
I asked him about it because I didn't actually, the last little while, I don't pick who we get post game. I basically say to Lightning PR, just if the Lightning are going to win, just give me whoever, basically. Yeah, right. And so, Chris Kren, who was handling this on this trip, was like, and this is while the third period's still going on. He's like, how about Sabrin? I'm like, great. I haven't even met him yet. I just haven't crossed paths with him yet. I mean, his time with the Lightning has been very brief, right? So the first time I actually talked to him was on the air last night. And, I asked some questions because he's acclimated so smoothly when he's come up. So I asked him about that, and he credited the coaches in Syracuse and, the system. And he I'm playing on a good team. That matters. I asked him about the depth scoring, and the Lightning got goals from all 4 of their lines, 5-on-5. And, talked to him about that. And then, before we ended, I was like, look, I got to ask you about your ability fighting because, you've shown Lightning fans, like, you can fight, and especially that left hand. And, he's well-spoken and modest. Like, that's what I took out of that interview. And he's like, well, over the years, I've taken some punches back as well. But the benefit of being a 13-year pro, and he's like, I found that I'm not sure that he is actually left-handed. Some players who shoot right are left-handed, like Braden Point. But he said, it almost sounded like he's decided to make his left hand his dominant hand in fighting. And, not everybody is ready for that. Some players do that, though. Like Luke Shen, I remember, is a lefty. Like, he shoots right, but he's left-handed and punches with his... I mean, Luke Shen can punch with both. But you're right. Like, Sabrin has been impressive when... Not just the Ekblad situation, but he's had a couple of other fights, and, he's acquitted himself quite well.
Does he... I mean, you start getting into the conversation, is he on this team when everybody's healthy? Because I don't think you have to worry about his development.
Well, everybody is healthy except Dominic James at the forward position.
Right. So if James comes back, I mean, when he does, Sabrin to me has shown more in a limited role, and he, I think, does something on this team better than anybody else, which is to drop the gloves. I mean, if that story's true, Eric, I forget what game, maybe it was the Panthers game, when he was asking guys if you want to go, and nobody would go. Now maybe that was time and place.
Eric
maybe
did
also,
interview him. Eric interviewed him though at one of the home games during the regular season after the first period.
He might have.
Yeah.
But like, if does he have a reputation as a guy you probably want to look? I mean, that's a bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Anyways, what I'm saying is, and this is just probably more of a credit to him, he's looked the part of an NHL player. And he's impressed enough, I think, for both of us that if we said he's going to be on the NHL roster from now until the end of the season, based off of what we've seen, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know? Good for him. That's a good story. A guy who got an opportunity. And you know what he also said to you, I think, in the interview, was that there's a staff that believes in him.
Yeah.
When you get into this confident, it's like this in any walk of life, partner. I mean, if you have people who believe in you and say, look, we know you're one of the damn best play-by-play guys out there, it makes you feel good. You know? Or you're one of the best accountants, or, man, you're really good at this. Mm-hmm. It gives you some confidence. And Chief talks about this all the time. He said it's amazing how players at this level can have their confidence shaken when things aren't going well. And I've always maintained, I think to be a professional athlete, what separates you from those who aren't is your mental makeup. But even the ones who are able to, good player to Hall of Famer,
mm-hmm.
it's probably this really belief in yourself that is unwavering. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get there. You may get it in spurts, but a lot of people just don't get it. Chris says, great team win.
I think we read this, didn't we?
Yeah. Did I read this already?
Yeah, this was about the Savarin. No, that's okay.
Oh, come on. They're all over the place here.
He had the part at the beginning. But look, Johansson's fine with the win. I mean, yeah, he faced a couple breakaways, which is unfortunate.
I think with a backup like him, it's less about stats and it's more about W's, because the stats could get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be playing as much. He might be getting that second game of a back-to-back. I mean, this is one of the true franchises where you really have a legitimate number one. Some other franchises, you can make the case, we're going to go 60-40, 55-45. This isn't the case. Andrew says, do you think that scoring all these goals the last two games will maybe loosen guys up facing Sorokin? He's been good, so good. I otherwise would fear guys gripping their sticks too tight. All right, before you answer that question,
go ahead.
I'm going to make an unpopular statement. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't think Sorokin has been somebody who has stolen two games from the Lightning. I think he's been good. I don't think it's been like, man, I don't know how to. I don't know how they solve this guy. I think what's impressed me more has been the Islanders.
Mm-hmm. Defensively,
more so than Sorokin. He has benefited from the good play in front, and he's made the saves when he's had to. But, partner, you know more than I do on this. I mean, do you feel like Sorokin has been playing out of his mind in two games against the Lightning?
So I think the one goal allowed in 120 minutes by the Islanders in the two games against the Lightning has more to do with Islanders' defense. By defense, I mean like team defense, than Sorokin. But Sorokin has contributed. Like, Sorokin has played well. The way I would look at this question, what do they need to do? They're gripping their sticks tightly against Sorokin. Look, the Montreal Canadiens, the first team the Lightning, scored a bunch of goals against in this two-game stretch, they've been a bad defensive team this year. Like, the stats tell us they have been one of the worst teams in the NHL. Now, they started a rookie goalie last night in Pittsburgh. I didn't watch the game, but, they held the other team to 2. They won. So
that was the Florida kid.
Right, Florida born,
yeah,
yes. Yeah. So was it that, he kind of stole the game? Did Montreal defend better? Who knows? The Canadiens did not defend well against the Lightning, and the Lightning converted. Last night, we just talked about the Devils did not defend well against the Lightning converted. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow afternoon, but if the Islanders play the way they've played in the first two games against the Lightning are not going to get the sorts of scoring chances that they have had in the last two games. So it may be one of these lower scoring games where they are going to have to bury the chances that they get and beat Sorokin on fewer chances than what they've had in the last 2 games. But they don't need to score 6 or 8 to beat the Islanders. But they need to score more than 1 or 0 probably. So we'll see. They're going to run into teams who are going to defend them better than what they've seen in the last 2 games. Some of it is them, they're converting on chances, but some of it is the other team. The other team is giving up those chances, right? Maybe the Islanders will have an off game tomorrow too, but I like their team. I like how they play defensively. I like how hard they compete. They have a bunch of injuries that hasn't seemed to have affected them. Although I do think that they lost Horvat last night, which would be a huge loss for them. I don't think it's a serious injury. I think they said it was day-to-day, and maybe he's not going to miss any time. But pulling him out is a very significant hole for the Islanders because they're already without Pajot, their other top face-off guy. Right. So we'll see. But the fan asked the question, how do they beat Sorokin? I think they just need to go into the game understanding like they probably need to defend their way to a win and do a little bit of a better job of converting on the chances that they get. Shoot up on Sorokin, too. They've not shot up on him. I mean, speaking plainly, some of that is the Islanders are getting in the way. Very few second chance opportunities, too. That was one thing Rob Zettler talked about after the first period in Montreal. Like, they created chaos. They created traffic. They were hard on the other team in front of the other team's net. So that's something that they can do. But you got to find a way to get a puck past this guy, and they've really not shot middle of the net up on him in the last 2 games. Everything has been middle of the net down, and he is all of it, except for one weak goal that James slipped past him on the short side. Might have surprised him a little bit.
Tonight, enjoy some Reef Rum, smooth, versatile, now pouring at Benchmark International Arena. Order a Tropical Wave or a Lightning Mule and taste why fans are switching. Reef Rum is a premium craft Florida local rum built on authenticity, quality, and easy drinkability. Ask for Reef Rum by name. Go Bolts. Enjoy.
We have 15 minutes left, Greg, and you hear the pucks on the ice, so I'm going to be smart and shift myself here. And so
Please
I'm looking as opposed to getting hit in the back of the head. So
I don't want you to get hit.
I will be right back.
I do not want you to get hit, partner. That is not what we want. Basil says, not the best defensive effort, but must be hard to concentrate on buttoning it down when you're scoring like crazy. Devils were really dangerous much of the game. Key to the game was that Tampa Bay answered every time the Devils scored, did not let them build momentum. I would agree with that. I mean, that's a good point. Sometimes you need to outscore your opponent.
Yeah.
Have a high-scoring game. And
I just think you don't want to make a habit of this. And they haven't. They haven't made a habit of it.
Bolts Breakdown says, what'd you see from Chucky's game? 8 goals, but he still finished -1. I didn't notice him being particularly bad, but then again, it was hard to see anything bad last night.
So he was the defenseman who had his fingerprints on the Cotter goal, which was their 4th goal. That's why he finished -1. He must not have been on the ice for... So remember, the Lightning scored 2 power play goals. So in terms of pluses, they they had 6 goals where there was a plus awarded. I remember the 6-on-5 goal was Crozier and Carlisle. They were out there. Obviously, Radish was out on the goal that he scored. Trying to think of the other even strength goals that were scored. It's possible this dude was out for 1, 4, and 2 against. But I remember he was one of the 4 skaters that were out on the ice when Cotter got around him. He didn't quite angle himself properly there. So, yeah, it's unfortunate after he finished +5. Lightning went 8-4. He has to take a -1. But I thought he played well. You know what he does that I really like? Because the Devils, when they were forechecking hard, they were hard on pucks. He is always hard on pucks.
Yeah.
I thought the way he pulled the rope for the Lightning last night, he made hard plays out of the defensive zone to help alleviate pressure, which is a part of his game. He, as Coop said, fairly early in his time with the Lightning, he is very, very strong on his stick. Remember him saying that?
Yeah, Cooper, for sure. Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that helps him navigate tough situations in the defensive zone where the other team is really like their teeth are bare, right? It's not a quiet forecheck. Like, you need to make a hard play to get out of trouble. he does that.
Logan says this win had everything you wanted. Great offense, point scoring, Bjorkstrand finding the net multiple times, great power plays. New Jersey started to push back until the 8th goal. They all were done.
Well, defensively, they weren't where they wanted to be. But other than that, I agree with the comment.
Read here.
Yeah, we read that one up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, let me get that out of the way. Hide that comment, baby. Hide it. FKA says Sabrin is awesome. Yeah, I agree. Anthony says, love the chemistry of this team. D moving up the ice. Paul with good wrist shot. Great to see after the last recharge episode.
Yeah, nice cross promotion. That was about Paul's rehab, right?
Yeah.
That is not fun. I've never been through anything like that, of course, but I'm sure that was not where he wanted to be. He wanted to be on the ice with his teammates, and 100 goals for Nick Paul. Congratulations.
It's a nice moment.
To Nick.
Addie says, in the Bolts Reddit group, we have referred to Sabrin as the legend.
Well, look, Sabrin endeared himself to Lightning fans with his 17-second appearance in that preseason game, right? With what he did to Ekblad in those 17 seconds. That endeared him to Lightning fans. Say what you will about kind of the frontier justice that sometimes happens in this sport. But beyond that, so first of all, the Lightning were very nimble in getting him through his 4-game suspension. So when they wanted to call him up, they were able to call him up and use him. So let's not forget that. The first month of the season, he served his 4-game suspension as still so Syracuse didn't have him maybe for a game or two, but they helped him get through his suspension. So when they called him up, which they did when they played the Rangers in mid-November, they were able to call him up and use him. He has played well. He's played very well for the Lightning in 5 games now?
Yeah.
Goal and 2 assists.
Right.
Couple of fights. Solid in the D zone. His line, whichever line he has been on, he's played with Douglas and Finley. Last couple of games with Paul and Douglas. That line has looked good. They had a couple of shifts, all 4 of the lines had this, where they kind of got stuck in their own zone, because that was what the Devils were doing to them at times on the forecheck. But I thought they had a good game. Douglas had some more scoring chances. They weren't necessarily grade A's, but that line did create, and they got a goal. And it was the opening goal.
The thing about their bottom 6, their whole team can skate, but the bottom 6 can skate. That's what separates them from previous lines. They can play, but they can move. They can move around. And I love that about them. Enrico says, I know this is hockey, but how to deal with consistency?
Well, every team aspires to be consistent. It's a tricky devil, isn't it? No pun intended, based on the Lightning's opponent last night. It's hard to be just machine-like. That's why we talked about, and trust me, I'm not going to keep talking about the Panthers indefinitely, but which I haven't. But at the start of the year, I was praising them. Right in the playoffs last year, I was praising them. What they did in the playoffs last year was as close to machine-like as you're going to see in a playoff run. I thought they played better last year in the playoffs than they did the previous year when they won the Stanley Cup, because they were their consistency level was off the charts. They had very few hiccups. And you think the stakes are at their highest, the hockey is the hardest, the intensity of the games, the frequency of the games, it's 2 months, it's 4 rounds. For them to churn that out is very, very rare. Usually teams that win the Cup, they aren't quite at that level for the whole run, right? Maybe they build up to it, or they have an odd game, bad game here and there. They might be down in the series. They have to, battle back. The Panthers were down in the second round series to Toronto. That might have been their only dip. But so the fan was asking about consistency. That's what you aspire to, and usually the teams that can get the closest to it have the most success. But
agreed.
There's another team, as you say,
Greg,
there's another team that gets paid, right? Like they're trying to impose their will on you, and you have to overcome that.
It's why this Lightning's window has been open as much as it has, because while you have some younger players complimenting the veterans, what's the one thing you get with veterans for the most part? Consistency, production. And I think that's, in sports, as Mish alluded to, it's the hardest thing to achieve. The good teams typically have more consistency than the ones below. How do you get it? The simple answer is you have better players. I know that may sound too easy, but I do think good players make for good consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just kind of how it plays out.
As you can see, Greg, I switched my glasses where I can see the ice and not see you so well.
That's okay.
With age comes wisdom.
My hair
looks
okay.
Less reliable vision. I just wanted to point this out because I thought I saw this and I'm confirming
what
it.
Did you see?
Well, Dominic James is on the ice in a regular jersey. So,
well, that's very good.
Yes, that
Breaking
is good
news.
I mean, practice hasn't officially started yet. We got another couple of minutes.
Is there anybody you can pull over to say hi? Is Julian there?
Yeah, and unless I'm mistaken, I see Vasilevsky on the ice too.
Yeah.
So
okay, good.
Ed Encina is here. I'm sure he'll be posting all of this stuff. But
he should be listening.
We're
to
in
the
the
show.
moment here. Our show is wrapping up as the team is.
He should be listening to the show while he's taking notes because
I'm not sure he can hear me. Well, with the din of the pucks hitting the boards. That's the other thing about practice rinks. I think the ambient noise is louder usually, maybe because the ceilings are lower than in the big buildings.
I love it.
Anyway.
This just has a great feel to it, you know? I don't know if we can answer this question, but I'm going to post it. Cooch says, hey, I come down from Canada for the Stadium Series and watching 3 games that week. Are practices able to be watched by the public, and how do I find that out? Thank you, guys.
So when the Lightning are at TGH Iceplex, you can go in there and watch practice, but I don't know how far in advance they set that schedule, and I get it at a month at a time. So, yes, I will get January's schedule and be able to see, because I assume the fan is talking about the games leading up to the Stadium Series.
Yes, I would assume that part.
I think there is a practice, though, at Ray J that's kind of a ceremonial thing. Steve might know about that.
I think you
I'm
might
not
be
sure
right.
If that's open to the
to
the public. The ones at Benchmark International Arena are not. When they practice there, you can't just walk in and go into the go into the bowl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's for obvious reasons.
I mean, if you have business there, I guess you can, go into the concourse and see. So
Anthony says Sabrin is more dangerous version of Douglas in fights and hitting, a bit more playmaking, but also a little more potential penalties. But I like Douglas's game lately.
Sabrin has taken penalties. I mean, the one that he committed with the boarding Luke Hughes, then he had to fight. But
he took one kind of his first go-around when he was up here that was a bad penalty that led to, I think,
it was
more
the
goals.
Vancouver game, I think.
Yeah. And it was, I forget what it was. It was ill-advised, I think, and it cost them. And I think that's one of the negatives when you are a role player like that.
Mm-hmm.
The 13th or 14th forward on a team is that you can't take bad penalties. That's like one of don't get scored on and don't take bad penalties.
Yeah.
Do everything else. Play hard, check, fight, but you can't, particularly an offensive zone penalty or one that's just a tripping, that's going to find you in the press box more times.
For what it's worth, the 2 penalties that he took last night, the Lightning killed both of them off.
Yeah.
So.
And we didn't even get into Darren Radish again, partner, but what a story this is turning into, huh? I mean, just continues.
I said on the air, because remember he had gotten that acknowledgement that he had the hardest shot that resulted in a goal. He scored it not that long ago, but I remember the league was like, Darren Radish, 100 miles an hour, 0.2 or whatever it was. So there have been harder shots, but those shots either didn't go in, like they missed the net, or the goalie made the save. This was the hardest shot that went in the net. I don't know about the one last night. Like that might have been, that was a bullet. I mean, he blasted that. So I don't know if that one eclipsed his other. But I mean, he's a weapon from the point. He's especially a weapon when he's in the middle of the ice, too.
He
I think
is
that's where he scores a lot of those slap shot goals.
With Hetty out of the lineup, he's even more valuable to this team. It's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. All right, so tomorrow we talk. You will be broadcasting the game. That's what? We're start 3:30.
3:30, and it's quite kind of like that Amazon Prime
no,
game
is it
Monday,
like
'cause
4
the Islanders-
o'clock basically?
I think Steve has the official start time.
I know,
Islanders
I
are
know.
doing their Hall of Fame ceremony tomorrow. Well, look, it's an afternoon game, so I don't mind it.
3:51.
Even later than that Monday.
Might
game
as well
in
just. You know what?
Toronto.
Honestly, we should just tape this, have this show, and play it for the pregame. That's what we should do.
You want to put
And then
your
I should
feet
say-
up on the weekend.
And then I
You
want to
wanna
say,
kick
and then
back
say,
and
coming up
relax.
next, I'm going to be talking to my partner again, Dave Mishkin. Hey,
Yes,
Jared, get
it
a
is-
feature. Let's go.
So the Lightning are done with Washington, and they're done
Yeah.
with New Jersey, and tomorrow they will be done with the Islanders. Yet they still have not played Buffalo, right? It's funny with the
Incredible.
schedule sometimes.
Incredible. All right. Great week. This was a lot of fun. Thanks to all involved who listened. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back in this setting on Monday. But I will talk to you, partner, tomorrow.
Yes.
Once we get a little closer to puck drop.
And then we'll have the
Okay.
show on Monday, which
Yeah,
is another
Monday.
game day. Lightning and
Yeah.
Panthers
Heck yeah.
from Tampa.
It'll be a little fun. Have
Yep.
something to talk about there. All right, partner. Great job, as always. Thanks to Steve
too.
Versnick and Jared Johnston. Thanks to everybody for listening. We appreciate you guys. I'm Greg Linnelli. You've been listening to Power Lunch on Lightning Radio.